Well, we're going to talk about how to make the quality of your work a little bit better. And it's the beginning of the silly season for golf equipment. And I just today got one brandy spanking new thing. And we're going to talk about that because I got to read it for about 5 minutes. All next. What's in your drawers? Golf talk. Welcome back to What's in Your Drawers Golf Talk. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. It's about what is in my drawers in the golf shop. And what we do is we talk about golf club repairs, reviews, and fittings, all so your scores can go low. And before we even get started, you see this little ticker that goes across the bottom? If you would, like, subscribe, smash that notification bar, and that way you'll get more of these videos when they drop. Just last night we checked, we made it to the awesome 40,000 range. Now the next target is 50. So that's going to be that's not any small lift, but we're going for the next one. So we go in 10,000 increments. That way it's not, hey, look what we did. We celebrated last week. No, let's make it real. Let's get to 50,000. So again, if you know anybody that would likes this kind of stuff and wants to know more, let them know, let them like, let them subscribe. All righty. So the weekend, again, as one might think, we went down to Kentucky and we completed everything as far as tours go on the eastern side of Louisville. And I'm not going to go real deep into it, but here is a view from a hotel room. We are on the Kentucky side looking at Cincinnati. There's the infamous bridge, and just on the left outside of the picture was Bengal Stadium, and over here on the right where you see it looks like giant speakers on posts, that is the All-American Ballpark. Not too bad, right? That was actually, it was a very good view. Mr. McGolf did a good job on getting us. It was the Marriott, and did very, very well. All righty, real quick. We went to, I'm going to show you 3 distilleries. First one was Wilderness Trail. Wilderness Trail. This is a picture of the Ruck House, and it is neat. They are expanding at a rapid rate because, well, their product is very, very good. This was a neat demonstration. We went through the tour, and they were able to shine a light so you could see the distillate moving around. Again, a better picture of the Ruck House. Now, Wilderness Trail has obviously they have a wheat, they have a bourbon, and they have a wheat, a bourbon, and a rye. And they also have stuff that you can only get at the place. And we ended up getting one of each, so that was pretty cool. Next one was Bullet. Bullet was a really neat layout. They really had their area designed very, very well. Unfortunately, we didn't stay there very long because in Shelby, Kentucky, you apparently cannot purchase alcohol until after 1 o'clock. And we were there early, and waiting around was just not going to be a good thing. So the last bit is we stopped at Woodford Reserve finally. And this is their tasting area. Man, they do this thing up right. This whole open area was fantastic. First time I had some earlier, tasted some early on in doing this bourbon thing, and I did not like it. Went back and did a flight of these and stayed away from the normal bourbon. They're wheated in their malt and their double oak. Very nice. It's definitely something easy to recommend. Last but not least, and it leads us into the last bit of all this, is that we attended an opening of a distillery for another Navy veteran. It's called Fire and Flask. And what they use is some purple corn, and he is running on a shoestring budget. And so we figured we'd help him out. So we went to their opening and bought a bottle from him, and we're going to open it up and see what we did, whether it was a good buy or not. And we'll see from there. Last we get into it, happy Veterans Day. For all you veterans out there, you know who you are. And you can see Mrs. McGolf. There we go. So we got a TV for outdoors if we want to use it. And she found a patriotic cover to go over the TV that keeps it out of the elements. And it's waterproof, snowproof, all that stuff. And it's pretty cool. So we wanted to put it up back here, but the thing is so heavy that we didn't know how to put it up there. We didn't want to tape it up there for fear that the damn thing would come down and then it's out, right? And then we look silly. So it's actually on the TV on a stand outside looking at that. So if you want to get a little bit more I got to protect it from the light that's out there. There we go. So it's a cool little, it's kind of almost a distressed flag. Pretty neat. Get to see the U.S. Navy thing. There's my USS Whale hat from a buddy that got it for me. So again, to all you veterans, even when you're serving, you're still a veteran. Thank you for your service. For those of you out, thank you for your service. And for those who gave all, for the some that gave all and all that gave some. All righty, let's get to it. All righty, so why did I pick this topic? Why did I pick a topic how to do quality of work? Because, and I imagine he's going to be on here, is Dan Bunga from Minnesota. He sends us wedges, and I've showed you the wedges, and they're raw wedges to reshaft into Project X 6.5s. And he likes them raw because he likes the rust patina. And he sent us 3, and one of them slid by both of us, and they did not send all 3 in the rusty or in the raw kind. One of them was the regular finish, and the difference in the finish was about that much. Where we figured it out is in the face, not necessarily in the back end. In the face has a charcoal, almost dull finish, where the one that is finished is a bright silvery color, and that's where it was at. So he sends me the iron to replace it with, or the wedge to replace it with. But yet it has the same shaft in it, and I'm like, well, what the heck is that all about? Well, he said he liked my work, and thank you so much, Dan, for that bit of positive input. And I started looking at it. I started measuring to see what the differences were, and it was a little bit in length. He liked the logo down, so we were gonna have to change the grip maybe, and do all that. So what spurred this on? Well, this spurred that on. So if you look at that, one is the one that I did, and one is the one that the way that it came from the manufacturer. Now, if you look, the one on the left has got a darker ferrule than the one on the right. Now, that's not to say that that's wrong. It's just different, right? And so the aftermarket products are black. What that was a silverish charcoal. If you look at that again, I'm using the word charcoal a lot. It was a different kind. However, what I noticed about it is that it didn't seem finished. And I get a little closer, and you see that there's this like opening. There is an opening there, and on the right hand side, and it looks like there's like almost pieces of plastic sitting on that. And I'm like, well, what is that all about? Well, okay, so the very first test that any other club maker on the planet, if he walks into your shop and you have finished clubs there for people to see, the very first thing is they're going to do this around that ferrule area. And what they're doing is they're checking to see the transition from the ferrule to the hosel to make sure that it is smooth, no bumps, no openings, no nothing. That is the number one giveaway for a club maker. All right, if you look at this, and if you go back and look at them, look at ferrules, you'll see that they come in a variety of shapes and sizes, colors, and all that stuff, right? And you'll see, for instance, Titleist. Titleist uses their black ferrules, but if you get down to the bottom, they round it out. All right, they round it out. Now it comes in there and meets the ferrule just right, but it's a different kind of rounding. I suspect what that is somebody turning it in their hand with maybe some chemical that's causing that to happen. I don't know that for a fact. That's just a guess. However, it's very, very consistent. So however you're doing it, because your method doesn't have to be my method, it just has to be consistent, clean, and repetitive. Okay? So if you're going to use what we use, and a lot of people use, are ferrule belts. Some ferrule belts come in cotton, and in my opinion, the better ones come in felt. They call them felt belts. And what that does, it provides a smoother finish on the ferrule, and it doesn't scrape the paint where the cotton one will. Now, I have both, and I use the cotton in a pinch, but I try to stay away from it because of what it does to that. Now, you see me when I tape at the ends of the ferrule, I do that because of an experience I had with a cotton belt. Do I need to do it with the felt belt? Not necessarily, but it's such an ingrained habit that I do that to prevent any particular catastrophe that might happen. It's still just one more layer of providing that better quality of work. Okay. Now, are you going to be perfect every time? No. But you ought to recognize and be doing QA on yourself every time that you go through this. So let's go step by step. Number one, when you go to measure something, are you measuring it the same way you would every single time? Are you measuring it on a ruler? Are you measuring it on something that has a stop? Are you measuring it in a playing position? How are you doing that? And is it consistent? All right. This is quality of work stuff. You could, because if you're doing it in a playing position and you're looking over it and you're looking down, you could literally be off as much as an eighth of an inch. That could be a lot, right? That affects swing weight. That changes now, not to a great extent, but how you would set up to it. There are some people that are sensitive to those kinds of changes, albeit very small, but they're there. Now, the swing weight, some people, there's even more of those, even though the group is still kind of small, but they can still sense that. And why should they have to if you're doing it with a high quality of work? So again, make something that's repeatable so that you have that going in there. Now, how do we ensure um, our bonding? Our bonding is you got to make sure that you've abraded the tip of that shaft in such a fashion the epoxy will want to bond with it. And you can do that with 80, 100 grit sandpaper on, whether you're doing it with a shoe shine technique or whether you put it on a belt sander. You can do that all day long, right? And then you have to do a certain amount of it, at least an inch to an inch and a quarter, and that gets the entire hosel so that your epoxy will adhere to the entire length of that shaft. Now, the other side of that is it going to abrade itself or bond itself to the hosel? And you do a little cleaning, right? You do a little clean out with a hosel brush just to get all the particulate. Now, when I first started, burrs were a thing, right? Burrs were a huge thing, and you had to protect yourself as a club maker not only from getting cut, but from cutting shafts. It was not uncommon for graphite shafts to get cut like a saw, just like this, and that little bit of a freaking thing sticking out there would cut it. And you're like, well, where did that come from? And you see it the minute that you pull it out of a shaft because it leaves this giant line going right down the length of your shaft. And sometimes even on steel. Now, will it cut the steel as much? No, but the graphite is very sensitive to that. So we would run sandpaper, hosel brushes, all kinds. I actually had a sacrificial shaft that I would put inside there just to make sure that it didn't feel like it was rubbing on anything. Now the quality of the manufacturing has gotten significantly better. I don't see that as much, but I still do those steps to prevent that. Okay. So now we got that. Now the gluing process is the gluing process. You've seen that. And keeping things clean. If you keep them clean, you have less work to do in the finishing phase. When you do these ferrules, which we talked about, you want to be at a particular angle so that the belt captures, if not all of it, at least most of it, and get you in. Literally, it only ought to take about 2 passes if you're circling it, 2 passes in order to get everything down, unless it's sticking out a whole bunch, right? And you can get that and get that mellowed down pretty good. Now, if it's just that little tiny bit, I mean, just the littlest bit of a flick, and I mean just teeny weeny, you might be able to get that when you're polishing it with the acetone, because the acetone will remove product, and you can get through there, and then you can taste, and then you probably be in good shape, because the one thing you don't want to do is have it go and have the shoulder sticking out of the hosel from the ferrule. All right. And that's so when people ask, they go, well, do you really want a ferrule that sticks out and turn it down, or you want the same size? Well, I want it to turn it down. I want it to be my way. Now, again, if you're going to make 1 million of these and you're an OEM and you're making 1 million, you're going to want to get as close as you want to so you can save time in doing that. And sometimes that's what we see, like we see right there. Okay. So that's what we have with that. Then the next thing is when you go to cut, you want to make sure you're doing it in the same fashion again. And then this is going to take me off into another tangent here in just a moment. But and then when you do gripping, okay, and I'm going to show you a little something on gripping. when you do gripping and you see people holding onto it with one hand and shoving it in, and they leave the back end open. Let's go with this. They see that you hold them and they're pushing it on like that. I'm not a fan of that. And the reason being is because you're using a whole lot of pressure to push it on, and you have a potential to stretch the grip further than it needs to be. So when you're out there and you're putting these grips on, this is for guys that are getting started, have another one by your side. And when you go to put this one on, measure this one so that they look like this, not like that. Okay? All right, and then the last bit is when you have to do anything mechanical to it, loft and lie adjustments, that kind of stuff, you want to be very particular because as the loft of the club goes up, the lie angle becomes paramount, and you have to be very, very good. No guessing. Make sure it's on what you want it to be on, and adjust it and leave it there. All right, so this is those are a lot. Oh, Jim, those are club building tips. Well, they are to an extent. However, when you go to do these things and you actually pay attention to the detail, your quality of work just blows up exponentially. And that, my friends, is what happens. And then people go, oh, yeah, he does really good work. And then all of a sudden it's word of mouth. And when word of mouth happens, then all of a sudden, if you're working in your garage, the buddies are bringing you more beer or whiskey or whatever in order to do work. Or if you're in a position like mine, then you get more friends and they're bringing you work to do so you can survive. Okay, so that's quality of work. Now, the other part is, you're always checking, right? And whenever you're wiping things down, you're making sure that you have good pieces setting up against each other. When you're fitting them to glue them, you're checking for the fit to make sure it's not too loose, not too tight, to make sure, because that's where failures can occur. You want to make sure they got it something snug, right? And then when you go to when you're all done making your set them up and make them look professional when you get out there, and check to make sure that you have this really cool or this, a set that looks like this as it's going down, or maybe like that, as make sure that they progress in a fashion that looks good. And because I've made thousands of sets, and I've come there's been one or two times because of me doing that the shorter club looked like this compared to the next one. And it's like, oh, what did I do? And of course, got to go pop the grip back off, and I go look and I check it. And I go, how did I miss that? How do you miss that in your workflow? And so you get in there and you do that, right? So there you go. All right, so that should help you. If you got more questions, just put them in the show notes down here below. All right, it's something new, and this thing literally I opened it up this afternoon, but we know a little bit about it. I've talked about it before, and it's a new grip from True Temper. Now, True Temper, as you guys may have known, they're big with shafts. They're really big with shafts. True Temper has the Dynamic Gold line. They have the Grapholoy line. They own Acra, and they own Steel Fiber. And so they're pretty big with the shafts, right? They're also good with the Project X, right? The Hazardous line, the VRTX line that I have up here. They got a lot going on. And today they sent out a grip called the Icon. All right, and look, there's the True Temper signal right there, or icon. The Icon. Now you say, well, what has True Temper done that makes this so much better than all the rest? Well, that's one heck of a question. So let me show you what I've got. Let's start with the propaganda first. This was kind of one of I got to say, this is one of the neatest posters I've gotten in a while. Look at that bad boy. Right there. I'm not going to stand behind this, but it's almost like I'm holding on to a picture that's been blown up. They really went out of their way to make it look nice. Okay, and then I get the sticker, or at least something that looks like a sticker. All right, True Temper. So now let me read. It says, for over 100 years, True Temper has been the leader in innovation and design of golf shafts. Not wrong. From developing the first stepped tapered steel golf shafts to pioneering barrier-breaking graphite shafts, professional golfers worldwide have trusted True Temper to help them win more majors than any other shaft brand. We are now beginning that same expertise in the spirit of innovation of golf grips and introducing the Icon. All right, and this is the IX perforation technology. Perfected through hundreds of prototypes, optimizes traction and moisture control. Dozens of experiments were conducted to precisely tune the cross-linking of our rubber compounds, achieving a perfect blend of feel and performance. Laser machining ensures high accuracy molds, resulting in consistent size and perforation density. Alrighty, so what does all that mean? That's a whole lot of marketing blah, 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 right? So what does that mean? All right, the patterns provide an increased bite and channels wick away the moisture in different directions. So you see that? That is the pattern that's ingrained in there. All right, there you go. You see that? There you go. That's the pattern in there. And what that says it does is averages 20% more perforation density than the leading grip with 30% more in the bottom hand. Laser machining tooling for increased grip-to-grip consistency and unmatched quality. The cross-link tuned compounds enable firmness to be dialed in for optimal feel. All right, 5-axis. This is the 5-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. For more control and longer and wider perforations to make it go to channel out stuff. So the question is, the differences in between that, and obviously they're aiming it at the Tour Velvet, right? Voila. Tour Velvet icon. So if we put them together, Tour Velvet's on the top. There you go. So there's the differences. So there's a lot going on in here. If you look, this is the tradition. This is what everybody looks to get, right? This is one of the more popular grips. Although not here at McGolf. We go with the CP units. But there you go. So if you look, the grip pattern appears to be more pronounced, maybe even a little bit deeper with the icon. That doesn't necessarily make it all that in a bag of chips. However, when you go to feel it like this, they're very similar. I'll give the nod to the icon being slightly denser. At the top where it's thicker, I'd say they're very close to the same. Yeah, I'd say they're close to the same. Now down at the bottom, this one is more, it relates from here to here. The feeling is a little bit more consistent, where it's nice and, in the back of the grip where there's more meat, nice and thick, and then it gets kind of thin or flimsy or whatever you want to call it down at the bottom. It's not to say this is bad. That's just what the Tour Velvet's always been. Now it has a direct competitor, and this is what they're going after. I haven't put it on a stick yet. I got 2 of them in order to put on. So might have to try it out here in a little bit, and we'll report back. Now, as far as pricing goes, we looked at it to the club guy. They're very close to the same. What they're out to the consumer, I haven't found that out yet, because like I said, I just got them. Okay, just got them. All righty, so there's one. Charlie, salute, McAllen 10. Okay, next new thing, and then we'll start talking stuff. Next one is a putter, and I'm going to do a review on this one. I got to say I'm impressed with it. And it is the new Makefield putter. It is the Makefield VSF. They're all VS. V as in Victor, S as in Sam, or Sierra for all us military guys, and then F. All right, as in Foxtrot, not Frank. Foxtrot. And this is what it looks like. So obviously this is an aim at the Fang putter, right? This is super duper high MOI because this is where the weights are. You look right here. You go, there's weights right here. If you look underneath, it's got the soles. So there's a little bit more weight here so that when it sits on the ground, it sets level, right? So it sets like this, it sets level. And then these angles are what direct that weight and that force into the face, i.e. into the ball. Now, if you go to their website, and I hope that you do, there's 4 channels in here. And these 4 channels mean that you can adjust the weight the MOI, anything you want in order to help you make more putts. That's the beauty of this putter, is that it is completely, we'll call it feel adjustable, in order to help you get it closed, in order to help you keep it open, or just keep it straight on line. And it's all because of these weights. There's a weight kit that comes with it, or that you have to purchase, I'm sorry, that could come with it. And for, I think it was 40 or 45 bucks. I'm not even sure what it is anymore. Anyway, there's a truckload of weights and a tool. And they also have the washers for that go behind these little screws that are in here in case you lose one, because they are small. And there's plenty of tungsten, which is the heavy ones. They got steel, which are the next heaviest ones, and they got aluminum for the next heaviest ones. So for instance, not this particular model, but one that's very similar, I took all the weights out and put the aluminum ones in because it was for a 12-year-old. And as soon as I lightened it up, he lit up the cup. Now, other ones may want this thing completely heavy, right? And so you could take out the aluminums or even the steels and put the tungstens in and make this a very, very heavy putter. Okay, to the point that I think this thing would probably be awesome is if you weighted it up with the tungstens and then put one of those zero torque putter shafts in it, like the BGT or the Acras or whoever out there is making these. Okay, and this would be a weapon. Okay, an absolute weapon. Now, also the other thing that doesn't get a lot of press is that face that's on there is absolutely different than anything that's out there as far as milling goes. Normally, it's this total one kind of milling, whether it's lines or whether it's the milling marks, or whatever. This is two separate patterns. All right, two separate patterns. Now, what happened here is when I was talking with the owner of this, is that he's the first guy in all the putters that says this face will help get the ball rolling as soon as possible. Normally, you hear immediate roll and all that. He told the truth to me, so that's the reason why I believe him. And I've played with the original one for years, and it worked fine. Bob, my golfing buddy, is out there still playing with it, and he still whips my butt with it. So it's this one is the newest one, lots of MOI. Now, what you're seeing here is the center shafted one. They also have a heel mounted one. And the funny part is I got this in because I saw it on their website, and I said, hey, how about putting it in my fitting kit? And they sent it to me. And what happened was I unpacked it, I set it down on the table, and the very first fitting, and not more than 15 minutes later, the guy comes in and says, hey, I'd like to try a high MOI putter. And I said, are you really, taken by looks? He goes, nope. And I said, what's that look like? He goes, that looks pretty good. I said, very cool. Then we're going to try this. I put a slant neck and a heel mount, and the guy started drilling it. So it's hard not to like that, right? Hard not to like that at all. All righty. So we got all that taken care of. So quality of work. Take your time, be consistent, and always do QA checks on yourself as you're going through there, right? If you're doing it like that and you have the gumption to make things consistent with flex and swing weights and all these things, with weighing stuff, those ideas, then you're going to have a very consistent, a very good looking golf club. Because let's face it, nobody wants a bunch of junk hanging out of their bag. They want to look professional regardless of who it is, and they want it to perform, and that's our job. All right, the second thing is that the tour was pretty cool, but if you get a chance, you see that Fire and Flask online and you're a veteran, you want to support another veteran, there you go. All righty. And don't forget the icon. It's going to be a release at the PGA show. But we've got there's the end cap. That's kind of cool looking. There we go. And we'll see how that works out. And then finally, if you're in the market for another putter, take a look at these guys. Okay. Oh, and we reached 40,000. So more likes and subscribes, please. All right, let's go to the top. Who made it to the top? John Cherry was first in line today. Greetings, everybody, and fellow golfers from Myrtle Beach. How you doing, John? Hope everything's good. Happy Veterans Day, Jim. Same to you, Charlie. Voila. Henry McKenna. I put that ice cube in. It's already melted, and it's non-chilled filtered, so it kind of looks kind of gross because it's trying to take all the oils out. I think this one tastes better warm. It's good, just tastes better warm. There's Hi Robin. Oh, thank you, John. There's Krister. How are you, sir? I saw some of your posts where you were talking about, was it different drivers that you were looking at? Very cool. Talking with Krister again. There's Robin saying thanks to Charlie for his service. Thank you, Robin. It was an honor and privilege to serve the nation and her people. So today we did a Veterans Day thing out at my other work, and I got to talk to a guy. When you're in the nuclear community and you're an officer, you have to go do a interview, and the interview is a really judgmental. Are you a quick decision maker, or that kind of thing? They already get you for your competency. That's not what you're there for. It's your ability to be a command person. And the stories go on for years on the different ones between Rickover. Admiral McKee replaced Rickover, and this guy saw him, and he told us his story. That was pretty outstanding. And so that was pretty neat how he got in. There we go. My dog Rex says thumbs up, folks, and thank you so very much if you haven't got there. All right, Krister says past weekend I had fitting with Titleist to test woods. What did we go with? Ended up ordering the GT2 8 degree and Fairway 315 both with the UB. The UB's nice, man. I got them. Those things are for guys that really come down hard on the club, and they do. It's a nice. You tend to gravitate towards the graphite design, so good for you. Hopefully it gets you to where you want to be when things start warming up in about 4 months. Robin saying hi to my dog. Mark Nat, what do you say, buddy? After 2 soldier surgeries, 3 years away from the game, finally got to play 2 rounds, 96 and 84. Look at that. The rust already fell off on the second round. Good for you. Let's do this. The McGolf Clover. Very cool. Jeff Boothman, do you think it's possible to fit yourself after you've had previous fittings with not many changes? Well, here's the thing, Jeff. Could you do it? Well, the answer is always, yeah, you could. However, the thing is that as I'm sure that if you've been through previous fittings on plural, and you've gone to a different person, they just like here, you may have a different methodology or a different set of preferences that club maker, club fitter likes, and that might spark some confusion. However, if they give you specifications like 37 inches or 38-inch 5-iron and at this degree of lie angle and blah blah blah, and you've got that, and you've had no major surgeries, and you're not going through some medical stuff, or it hasn't been like 10 years since the last one, you could probably go with some of those now. And because what you're doing now is you're just hunting numbers at this particular point, right? Do I recommend it? Being a fitter, my answer is going to have to be no. But could you do it? The answer is yeah, you probably could if you knew your numbers. So if you said I need a 1 degree flat standard length club with a mid-size grip, you walk into a store and you go to the fitting cart and you say, okay, I need a 1 degree flat club with a modicum of offset, and I need a shaft profile that's soft and an R flex. And then let that person hand it to you and go hit it and see if it produces the results you're looking for. That's kind of, if you go with that, or if you go armed with information, you'll be well ahead of the hunt and peck person that's just in there banging balls to see which one they hit the furthest, and regardless of patterns or anything like that. And so there you go. So hopefully that answered your questions. PZ, cheers, goal farce. And thanks for the service, homeboy. Is that 1 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon? That was actually, you know what? I don't know about out there, Charlie, but around here, it's starting to get dark. Well, look behind me. It's dark as night, and it's just a hair after 6 o'clock. And we we went to that Fire and Flask, and that started at 7, and we stayed there about an hour and a half. So we got home about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it was about 9. And then, but there was one. I did wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Funny you should say that. One in the morning, I took a couple more pictures because they had another billboard lit up that said Pete Rose Hit King, and it had two electronic pictures of him on both sides. I tried my best to get a picture of that, and all it could do was fuzzy because it was so bright. But yeah, I was like to have seen that. Robin says, hello, welcome back. Hello, Jeff. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's a fact. Robin says, there's Dan. Happy Vets Day to Jim, Charlie, and the other vets in the McGolf family. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. We sent out his stuff, sent out Dan's stuff today, as a matter of fact. All right. Yeah, there you go. Chris Greenslade, what do you say, bud? Good evening from the west of UK. Well, thank you for staying up late with us, Chris. I appreciate that. If you got any questions, let us know, man. There you go. Wedges are on their way. All right. What do you know about Tour Edge shaft specs? Have to match some new tailor-made wedges to a lady set sub 50 grinds. I don't know much about Tour Edge, man, but what I do know is that since we were talking about QA, it's funny that Tour Edge actually does pretty good with their QA. They have a system in order to build their stuff rapidly and how to track it and how to check it. In fact, other people have been asking them for their system. I do know that, but I have not seen so much as in their match new tailor-made wedges to a lady set with a sub 50 gram iron shaft. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what they're using. If I knew what they were using, I could probably tell you. If you're looking for a sub 50 iron shaft, there's not very many of those. You might find there was one Callaway's using it, but it's an Aldila shaft, and it's white and it's got some paisley type markings on it or flowery markings on it. I have to go back out there and look at it. There's another one that's out there that might work is the Cipher, and that's in Project X. The Cipher goes 40 grams as well, and it would be in that Ladies Flex as well. There we go. Simplify, hoorah! Robin saying thank you. Yeah, that's light on a wedge, man. This is one gentle golfer is what we're looking at. If you're looking for a 50 gram, or it could be a Ladies Flex for a tweener, like a 12-year-old. Brad Ball, there we go. What are we looking at here? Just finished day 1 of the Mitchell Performance Studio Masters Club Maker and Fitter School. Great training. Cool. So is that something that you attend, or is that something that they're doing over the net, or is that something you take home? That would be interesting to see who's doing that. That one I'd be interested in seeing. Very cool. There's Chris again. Good evening, Jim and Ron from West Key. Can you tell me what puring a shaft is and how it affects it? Sure. So, let's see. All right, here we go. We'll give a little love to the Acra folks. So puring, what happens when you pure a shaft? I did this, I think, 2 weeks ago. So there will be no grip on it when you go to do this. So you got a whole shaft. And what you do is a lathe clamp, a 4-jaw lathe clamp, clamps onto the shaft like this. Then it goes at the other end, and some will put a weight on it in order to do this. Uh-oh, I'm moving. Here we go. There we go. See. Aha. Oh, it's not that one. Let's take this one then. Okay. So anyway, so what you do is you put a weight on the end, and this machine will come over and twang this thing uh, quite a few times. And over on this side, it's turning the shaft. Okay. And what it's doing is it's measuring the oscillations at these different portions within the golf shaft. So if you're looking at it like this, you'll get a readout. Are you kidding me? We get a readout that will look like this, but it'll be an oval, because eventually what will happen is there's an oval in there somewhere. And what you want to do is they will also test and do their own version of an EI curve. And what that is, they're doing that frequency right there, and then they'll come down here and they'll push on it and take the stress, and they'll keep going down. And basically they characterize the shaft and then give you the orientation of which it's supposed to go into your club. Now, normally what they like you to do is put the mark, they'll put the mark at 12 o'clock so that the club works this way the best. Okay. That's what they do. And it's a computerized, very accurate characterization of the golf shaft. Now, there's only one little bit of a weakness to this. And what we do here is the analog version of it. It's called spine and flow, and it is very hands-on. So in a spining, what you do is you have it in a rig up in here, and then you pull down on it, and the shaft will turn to where the hard side is facing up. That's what we look for. Now the reason being is I want the shaft to bend this way. Okay, and that's what puring is doing as well. So then we put the golf club on it, like right here, right? So it sits up in here like you got the golf club here. Now when we get it here, I'll clamp a laser on it and I'll twang it in that position. And what I'm looking for is a laser movement that's straight up and down, not like this or not like this or any of that other stuff, in order to get it there. And that's where the weakness in puring is you can be off a little bit, or because if you have a club with a lot of offset, it might make it need to move. So what that puring has done is helped you get in the very, very, very close orientation. If you were to put it on there and use that laser, there would be the final assembly process to make sure that you're absolutely dead on target. And you could use that alignment and you're bink, 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 and you're right in there. And so that's what that's for. So now what's it do? That's the chicken or the egg here. I've done it, and 50% of the people will say, I didn't feel anything different. It was a waste of my time. And the other half of them will go, that is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm so happy I did it. I will never have another set without it. Just depends on which camp you're in. Okay. It just depends on which camp you're in. Now, normally what happens is that they feel that because what they were using prior to may have been equipment that was less than awesome, meaning that it was an economy build versus if you're taking the time to get something pured, I'm going to assume that you're using quality stuff, and we're using things that are a little bit higher quality, then you end up getting better results. All right. John Lamb, the 11th month, 11th day, 11th hour. Happy Veterans Day, Remembrance Day to all of who served. I know I'll be raising a libation and a toast to fallen comrades. Thank you for your service. Hoorah, John. As I say that, well done. Well said. Okay. We start early at 1 p.m. It was too late for us. Yeah, that's a fact. All right. Hello. All right. So Facebook user. So they StreamYard told me that they're having an issue for some reason. Instead of whoever this is right here, it comes up as Facebook user. So whoever Facebook user is, sorry for that, not knowing you are. It looks melted. And again, it could be. I don't, I didn't, I just saw it and it just looked really different. And I was like, no, we can't send it back like that. So Dan, what we did was, and we're going to get here. Welcome, Chris. And here we go. Thanks, Jim, for a best of rebuild. That's why I love you guys so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dan, for the 20. And so what we did was Dan supplies me with the grip because we had a grip thing a while back. He likes a certain size. More good on him, right? And then he sends me the ferrules, of which I've got plenty, but he sends them to me anyway. And so it's all stuff. So it's just purely my skill sets. So what we did this time, Dan, is instead of changing shafts and cutting it down, doing that, when I saw that, I guess we call it OCD kicked in, and I changed the heads. All right, I changed the heads. Now I measured them before I did all this, and so I pulled the heads off. I pulled both ferrules off. I put the new ferrules back on both of them, and I reweighed them. And the sand wedge came in just in line with your other wedges, just the way it was supposed to. And I made sure that the lie angles were correct on it. And I thought it was funny because look, it's 62 degrees already. Man, those guys at Callaway did a great job, except for it was the one that I adjusted or previously. So it worked out pretty good. But I put the other one together so that if you had to return it, they're not going to be any wiser for it. And you got yourself a brand new wedge. So there you go. All righty. Thanks, John Lamb. Thank you, Dan. There's another Facebook user. It says, hi, Danny. I don't know. Maybe that might be Danny or Plumber. All right. Consistent, clean, repetitive, like the whiskey. Damn Skippy. I will say that I was totally impressed. Again, I know we're getting off track a little bit, but the Wilderness Trail, for those guys that if it's in your store, they have the weeded one. I totally recommend that one completely. Their actual bourbon is very, very smooth, and they have a rye. It's a 95.5 rye, and actually the 95.5s are the ones I think do the best. They're not real spicy. It tastes like a rye, but it's not super spicy. It doesn't blow you out, and that was really good. The other shock was the Woodford Reserve. Again, I had the bourbon from a brother-in-law, and it was awful. But the weeded one and the double oak, ooh-wee. I know why it was such a big deal with a lot of people. Very nice. All right. David, what do you say, man? Look, it's been ages. What's been going on? How's the golf business treating you? John Lamb, hope is all extremely well these days. Give a huge hug for his sir. There you go. Maybe she will after the program. There we go. Greetings, Mr. and Mrs. McGolf. I will speak here in a minute. Hope everything is well. It is, sir. Glad that you made it back. Hopefully you can stick around with us. There you go. Here we go. Robin switched on you, Charlie. Vanilla and root beer. Yeah, she likes that one. She likes that one a lot. Not bad. Another Facebook user that's waving a hand at us. I wish I knew who you were, brother. In order to get on there, but this is a programming error, I believe. All right. PZ wants to know if I've ever had a client that was a pain in the butt and you just blew smoke up his butt to get rid of him. Well, what I've done in a lot of cases, PZ, the honesty is the best policy, and we've fired clients before, and thankfully in the 20 plus years of doing this, it's only been one, maybe two that have been really that bad. I had, and the first one was well early into my career, and I gave him exactly what he asked for. He said he did not want to hook the golf ball at all because he could hook it out of a telephone booth, and that was his words, and I'll never forget them. And so I made him a set that wouldn't do that. He says, I can barely get them off the ground. I said, you didn't want to hook them. This is how you don't hook them. He says, well, I don't like that. And I said, well, send them back. And he says, even my pro can't hit these things. Well, then I don't know who your pro was because they weren't that stout. And I got something in my eye. Anyway, he said, I'm going to tell everybody that not to like you. I said, well, that's your prerogative, man, but I'm going to tell them all that I gave you the option to bring them back so I can fix them, and you said no because you're a baby. So, and he didn't like that much either, but I've never seen hiding or hair of him, and that was very early on in a career, and apparently he didn't talk to too many people. There was that one. And another one, it was more of the range-oriented one, and it was always this, that, this, and that. And I said, look, man, here's the deal. If you don't like it, you don't have to show up. And after that, they either didn't show up or they stopped complaining, and that was it. Now, as far as what you're talking about, I think more along the lines of what you're talking about is, and I've had this where I've made recommendations to people, and we've obviously done it on the fitting and said, this is what works. Well, I don't like that. Well, what do you like? And it would be either heavier or lighter in order to make this go because I read this on Golf Digest, or I saw it on another internet, or some guy on a YouTube channel other than what we're looking at here said that this was the way to go. And I have to tell them, I said, well, in certain cases, that very well may be. You're just not that case. And if you don't like it, then you can go ahead and have somebody else build that for you because I'm not going to go there where you don't like it and you're going to talk bad about me when you made that decision. And because your reputation is your integrity, which being a Marine, we know what that's all about, is paramount. All right, there's John. Good evening up the road in Ashland. Well, hey, how you doing, buddy? Glad to see you around. If you got any questions, throw them out there, bud. Look at this. That's funny. Patience is a saint, me not so much. And she's not lying there either. There you go. Hello, John and Ashland. There we go. Jerry Smiley. He's in Texas. He's saying hello to everybody. Good for you. RS saying greetings in this fine autumn day in St. Louis. Thank you to all the veterans out there. Thank you, sir. You're very much welcome. And for everybody else, so we'll also say thank you. Although, Charlie, I hope you're still on here and listening. I saw something on Facebook today, the Ultimate Cool T-shirt. And you too, PZ. It says DD214, America's Original Man Card. That was outstanding. And they came in all kinds of things, from T-shirts to sweatshirts to all kinds of stuff. When I saw that, I thought, yeah, I'm getting me one of those. That was cool. Hello, RS. Charles. I will not even say that last word, sir, because degwinded. Hello from France. That's a new one. Well, thank you for being on. I know it's late over there, but thank you. If you got any questions, go ahead and throw them out there, man. And Jack is from Lombard. He's out there. Well done, sir. Did it cool down? We had rain all day yesterday. It was awful. RS saying bonjour. Hopefully I said that correctly. Hello from there's Peter. And there's Peter. He's another Navy veteran, a Navy officer, as a matter of fact. Well done, Charlie, or Peter. Bonjour. Look at that. We're talking now. George JFW, here's another one. How much does line angle change with shaft length? I just got new set of irons and want to cut them. All right, if everything was, cut them about a half. So for every half of an inch is 1 degree. Or I'm sorry, is 1/2 a degree. It's even Steven. So if you cut down an inch, it's 1 degree. Half an inch, half a degree. So if you were wanting to be the same and you cut it down, you would have to, I always get these back. This is the worst part for me. I always get them backwards because I think linearly, and this is not linearly. So if you were to cut them down and you were bringing them back, you might have to make them up a half a degree. I'm pretty sure about that. I'd have to look at it. I have to look at a drawing in order for me to think that one out. So if we cut it down and you're out and you bring it in, yeah, it'd be a half a degree up. All right. There you go. Look at that. Robin saying Miss Charles D. That's about the best way I would go with it. Hello, Jack from Lombard. Merci beaucoup. There we go. That's the extent of my French, Charles. That's as far as it goes, and that's only because it's on TV. There's Peter. Uh-oh. RS has found his guy to talk to. Charlie's got Krister, and now RS has got the other Charles. Well done. And the only thing I can get out of that is Francais at the very end. I am terrible. All righty. Thanks a lot, Charles said. What is that in the... That is the neatest... Is that a motorcycle tank? It does. It looks like a motorcycle tank. That's cool. I like the green. All righty. Here's Danny. Is it with any trade, word of mouth is the best. It's with any trade, word of mouth is the best publicity. And Danny Nance is the absolute speaker of truth right there. Danny will forever be the guy that works on our plumbing here because he does a phenomenal job. And but he's not lying. Okay, very cool. Well, welcome back. Come and join us all the time. John Lamb, sanding shafts. After I thoroughly clean the head and insert the shaft and mark it at the point where it meets the head depth, I add a hair for the ferrule and sand away those marks. There you go, bud. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect right there. And if you do it the same time every time, there's nothing to worry about. Robin saying hello to George. All righty. George says, hey, back. George goes, I am switching to CP2 Pro midsize for... There we go. Going to make some equipment changes over the winter. So, George, the CP2, if you're looking for an argument, you got to go somewhere else, man, because the CP2 Pro and the CP2 Wrap are by far and away the most popular grip here at McGolf. All right. The idea of the lower profile, the lower taper has just been a huge, huge hit for a lot of people. All right. A lot of people. And it's also a slightly softer rubber. And so it's not, if when they talk about these things, they talk about feedback, right? That means these are firmer. And if you're somebody who struggles with maybe some joint pain, as you can see, I'm starting to get some in my little finger. When you get into these joint pains, they feel great when you're holding on to them, but you miss it, buddy. I am here to tell you. Now, that's not the case with the CP2. The CP2 mutes some of those shocking vibrations, and they last quite a while because they are a rubber compound. Now, in both cases, whether it be that one I showed you there or the one that you're getting ready to put on, you want to keep them clean. If you want them to last a while, keep them clean. Meaning that if you get like a microfiber golf towel, dip it in hot water and clean it about every 3 rounds, clean it so it squeaks, and your grips will love you for a long time. Hi, Charlie. Thank you for serving, John Lamb says. Darren Martell, what do you say? Says, hey, folks, how much in your experience does your lie angles on a typical set change from, say, the gap wedge to the fire? And my ascent is initially around 60 to 61. Okay, so here's how it goes, Darren. So you're 5 iron and it goes down half-inch increments. So they will change the actual lie angle spec will change in half degrees. So 61, 61 and a half, 62, 62 and a half, 63, 63 and a half, 64, so on, right? Now, to answer the other side of this is if you play, how much will they change, right? How much will they change in a round or in a year? And that's different for each type of club. So we'll make it simple, and there's two kinds. There's a forged kind and there's a cast kind. Now, if you were to be playing 2-3 times a week for the entirety of a golf season, right? Entirety of a golf season, and you were one of those guys that was a banger of dirt, right? And you'll throw your club down just as a nervous twitch while you're waiting, or something along that lines. I would suggest annually, okay, annually, for the forged club. So at the beginning of the season, and maybe the beginning of the following season, or the end of the golf season if you're going to get into simulators. Now, for cast clubs, they use a much harder steel, and they don't like to bend as easily. So you could probably go about 2 seasons before I'd have them checked, possibly 3. And it all depends on how hard that metal is. And I'll say, for instance, the Callaway smoke irons, though they are forged in the face, they are in a very sturdy steel body. They are not going to change very radically. Mizuno's hot metals and the hot metal high launch, the hot metals, maybe the hot metal pro will not change radically, even though because it's a firmer steel. Now you get in the other stuff, yeah, it's going to change. It's that kind of stuff. So it kind of give you an idea. All righty. It looks the same as the Crossline series. How is it different? So the Crossline is a little bit different, Mr. Wallace. I knew that was going to come up because I didn't have a Crossline in there. The Crossline actually, in this particular sense of the term, probably looks a little bit closer, in my opinion, to the Golf Pride one. They are a little bit different. See if it'll zero in on it. It won't do it because there's not enough there. It's too busy. See if we can get it back in here. The one in the Crossline is more of a zigzag, where this is more of a cross pattern, and that's where you want to go. But yeah, it's probably your question is very astute in that it's probably closer to the Crossline than it is the Tour Velvet. Hi, John. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to serve the Constitution, our nation, and her people. You are the man. You are the man. Well, there you go. Phil K. Happy Monday in Austin and happy Veterans Day. Like the picture of the dog. Yeah. Thanks. John Lamb, to Krister, I've read nothing but rave reviews on the Titleist drivers and woods. You must have smacked them pretty good to order them. Well, we kind of know how Krister goes through golf equipment, John. Although I am sure it gave him much, much better performance. And I hope it does. Those UB shafts are awesome. And they're for the guy that comes down pretty hard on it like he does. So hopefully he comes through. Now the two, Krister, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the TS2, is that more of the players kind of driver as opposed, because they got 4, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think 2 was the one that was more player-like. Yeah, okay. Jack says to Jim and Charles, thanks to all our veterans and your service. You're more than welcome, sir. Appreciate it. I like a firmer grip. Well, if you're talking about golf grips, buddy, either one will work. And there's Charlie saying thanks back to there. H. Wallace is saying hello. And Charlie's saying salute. That, I think, is that. Same to you, sir, Charles. Going to be done with here soon. 40,000. Congratulations. Thank you. It was fun to watch it climb up. We went to bed. It was 39,999. I said, well, we'll see if it's 40 in the morning. And it was on the button. So that was pretty cool. We're not as big as those other ones, but, we've had some issues here in the last couple of weeks, so the whole idea is getting the motor revved up and getting it started again. Maybe we can get it going a little bit better. John Lamb, yes, I did. No shots over the center line. No shots got over the center line of TrackMan. Everything started on the right side and had good fades. Aha! Well, you can thank that to not only the fade bias in that head, but also that UB. That thing would not let you turn that thing over. It's just not going to happen. A tunable putter. Imagine that. Yeah. Now you would think that that is probably the biggest reason for it, but I mean they got in the smaller, more they got the two on the ends and a lot of putters where you can change those weights. This is way more fine in that application. Well, I'm glad you like it, bud. Rather than told, I have a lot of patience too, Jim. Are you still gaming the lab? Absolutely. It is underneath underneath that blue towel. I've been given these. I got it. So just so you know, I was given what they call. Have you guys heard of the thing called the ghost towel? It has a magnet on it. So our old rep that was with Club Glove and did us a very, very good job says he's with this ghost towel and he sends me one to check out, which is that guy sitting right there. I had my name put on it. He knows how vain I am. And so once we get out, we're going to have to do some testing on that. I also got one called a sunglasses caddy, so we'll have to do a review on that one as well. Attention detail, Jim, works in a lot of areas. You are not kidding. You are not kidding. And here's the thing, and I am not going to get political. I am not. However, we did have an election, and we are going to have a change we're going to have a change of party. We're going to have a change of the way things get done. And the people have spoken, and that's what the Democratic Republic is all about. You hear democracy, that is false. Democratic Republic. However, we can get fuzzy because we're too worried about what we see on social media as opposed to what is real. And we really need to pay attention to what's going on around us. And what I don't mean it politically at all, but that seems to dominate the airwaves right now. And what I'm talking about is just pulling out of your driveway, right? And if you're pulling out of your driveway onto the street and you're more worried about who got elected to office than the safety of your car, you need to get out of your damn car, right? You need to get out of your car and get your mind right. You need to get your mind right so that you're in the present and that you're paying attention to the details that are around you so that you can safely get to your work and safely get home to your family. Because it doesn't do anybody any good to get all flustered about things that we cannot control. All right, there's my philosophy shtick for the day. All righty. Sean Grinstead. I'm 59. I'm losing a bit and play a stiff Oban steel shaft. Are graphite something to look at? Well, they are. They can be, Sean. Now, here's the thing. If you've developed at 59, maybe some of this that's going on with arthritis, or that you have some joint pain, yeah, maybe, right? But if you still like the feel of steel, there are plenty of steel options out there that are lighter. All right, Oban is a great steel shaft, but you could get something maybe in a regular flex on that weight, or even something lighter. If you're playing a standard Oban, I believe they're in that 120-ish category. So go to a 105 or even a 95 for that matter, and you still get that steel feel and performance to a point. And then you go and you gain a little bit back of what you had before. It's all about club head speed, right? I'd try that first. Now, if something's really come off and something's happened, again, we talked about medically, or age, you've had Oban since you were 20, then yeah, you probably need to relook at it, maybe do a new fitting. Jonathan Weaver, for quality, it is great practice to have all your parts before you start to assemble your set. You are not lying. You got to measure, measure once. What was it? Measure once, Measure twice, cut once. What it is, it's measure them all, make sure everything's in line so you can make the adjustments first. Sean says hello. All right, Charles Bartholomew. Yep, details make all the difference, though sometimes you have to take a deep breath, step away for a minute, tackle again. No doubt. Matter of fact, I had to do that with removing and we can do that for even golf club repair, John. I ran into that trying to remove the head that I put on Dan's wedge. Apparently, I put it on pretty good, and it took, normally it's heated up for about 45 seconds to a minute, pop it off, you're good to go. When you're competing against an OEM, normally it's 30 seconds to 45 seconds, and off it comes, and without any trouble whatsoever. The only place I've really experienced any real hassle is with ping, and normally it requires more heat. And that's where you see a lot of people will discolor those ferrules, melt paint, do all kinds of stuff. Pardon me. And the what we did with this, I did the normal heating, tried to twist it off, it wouldn't come. Put a little bit more heat on it, twist it off, wouldn't come. One more time, twist it off. Now the head's starting to get hit because the heat is transmitting up into where I'm grabbing. So now on comes a glove. Do it one more time. Still won't go. I said, all right. So now we're going to play tough guy. I put it in the puller, heat it a little bit more. Pow! Off it comes. That was on there. That was a golf club that was not coming apart. And I saw what I did, and I did the exact same thing, putting it back together. So hopefully we have that same adhesion. Same in our French country. Oh, it's Veterans Day over there as well. Very cool. Well, hopefully they're celebrating Veterans Day like we are. So true. You're absolutely right. So today it is Henry McKenna. It's a 10-year-old and is now gone. Finished out that bottle. It's been up there for a while. Very, very, that one got a lot of rave reviews, so I tried it, and again, they're not wrong. Mr. Wallace says, cheers to all of you and the veterans. Well, thank you, sir. Oh, you got the GT3 in the fairway. Okay, very cool. Robin says hello to Jonathan. Look at that. You see that picture she's got there? There's two young kids right there. I wonder who they are. With a young sister of mine standing right there. Man, you can talk about young and stupid back then. Woo! Yes, Danny, you're the best at your job, and I would agree. Same here. Well, there you go. Swing it. Oh, okay. Krister's going for his irons. We'll test the 620 and T100. Also the Wishon 585. I don't like to round leading edges on irons. I like more squarish leading edge on the iron. Okay. Well, the 620 certainly gets you there. The T10 or the T100, not so much. And I'd have to go back to the 585. It's been ages since I've seen one of those. Hopefully, I just got to make sure they're all the same loft so that you don't have to get freaked out about the distances. Now, I will say, Krister, and you very well may be able to find it, for somebody that doesn't want to turn it over, I would, and if you like a blade look, I would look at Wilson's blade. It is very much anti-draw. You'd be hard-pressed to turn that one over. Art says they need to get fitted for 2 sets of clubs, one for the start of the round and the one for the 6-pack turn, no doubt. Charles says it's just a little after midnight over there. They are 6 hours behind, well, ahead, actually. Thank you for staying up. It's starting to get dark here about 4:30 now. Sure, yep. You gotta get started, and it's not getting any lighter any earlier either, Charlie. Sometimes he gets a 6-pack at the set as the start and a 12-pack at the turn. There you go. Gotta like that. Which iron shafts are comparable with the profile of the C Taper Light X1X? Well, let's see. Oh, C taper lights are a little bit more flexible than the actual C tapers. Uh, well, you might like, and this is just off the top of my head here, Krister, is that new True Temper mid, and I think they come in a 115, and I think that one will probably feel a little bit smoother and get the ball going where you want it to go, maybe even just a hair higher. Uh, Another one might be, and if you've not hit it before, is the Rifle 6.5. I would try that one as well. Keep moving like Jack Jim, and I feel like I've got C back. I know, like this, right? Uh, Michael is in the house. What do you say? Saying hello to the McGolf family. Thank you. Lawrence is in here. Hello, I was golfing in the dark. It didn't work out well. Normally it doesn't, buddy. Have anybody played those glow in the dark games, those glow in the dark golf balls with they do that? I've done that once and we finished second. And boy, oh boy, that is something else. You take your big Coleman lantern lights out there with you, and hopefully that your clubhouse has put lights on their golf carts. That's a whole different animal right there. And do you have a bourbon fitting? Well, with what I've got, I probably could. Put you 6 hours ahead of us. Yes, it does. Don't forget to like and subscribe, Mr. Krister says. Thank you, Krister. I appreciate it. And please do if you haven't already. Like they say, tell your friends, tell your family. That's what I was wondering too. Well, Charlie, come on over here. I'm sure we'll make sure it's in there. I'm attending in person in Albion, Michigan. Oh, very cool. Well, tell them I'm interested, man. See what they say. Maybe I can bring up my Mitchell machine to have it refurbished. That would be kind of a neat idea. We could do a video of attending another master's class. That would be a lot of fun. Maybe have them say, hey, reach out. Before we left today, they showed us Mizuno's new shaft meter that gauges your needed flex. Yeah, whatever. I'm not a fan. Now, the first generation was not very good. I will say that. It only had one gizmo in it. The latest one is generation 3, and it has more gizmos in it. It's probably a little bit closer to what the fitter needs. Now, what it's doing is it's measuring. It's funny how technology comes around and goes around, meaning that in the day, and True Temper had this shaft that you would swing, and it had all these wires going into it, and it came out the butt end and it went over your back, and you would swing it, and what it was measuring was the strain that you were putting on the golf shaft, and it measured on the way back, it measured on the way down, and measured on the way through, which kind of gave us all an idea of what these guys were looking for, and it was the only thing available in the day. And there's been other pieces of equipment that allowed them as time has gone on. I even had one. It was made by Texas Instruments, as a matter of fact, and I was allowed to buy them, and we would insert them into our shaft of choice, but they had to stay there because they were oriented in such a way, and that would send a signal back to a computer. This one had 3 computers going at one time to do a fitting. I had one that was on a launch monitor that would watch the ball. I had one that had this thing in the back and it would see how you were swinging. And then I was hitting over this another board that was about yay big, and it had 2 places that would sense light, and it would see what path you were taking. You want to talk about a system, buddy? And now that's all taken care of right up in here in front with my flight scope in one fell swoop. but but they are getting better. I will say that. Swing weight adjustments and make suggestions after a few swings. Little thing, wild little thing. We are going to use it tomorrow. Very cool. Yeah, it said, and it also said that at one point that it was going to measure lie angle in 3D space. Okay. Now I think what you can do is if you have anything else, if you have a starting point, you can see what happens. You can do that. That's not a problem.
Hey, Chatty Cathy. Speed it up.
Chatty Cathy, look at the time. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting close. Lauren says hello, Robin. Robin says hit the like button if you haven't. Josiah D from Colorado. Good to see you, Jim. Well, thank you, Josiah. Glad to see you, bud. Well, glad to see that. If you got a question, ask. Yeah, it's nice. That's the first time I had even a sniff of it, and surprisingly smooth. And the pot still does something different than column stills, to be sure. And that's the reason why I think their malted variety was really, really good. Jim Beam has a double oak too. Yeah, they do. I haven't tried it, and I won't say I don't know anything. Well, I will say I know nothing about it because I've not tried it. But Jim Beam flavor, just like other people have palates for other Beam products, I like the Bookers and the stuff like that. Some people just do not. I've got that Hardin's Creek upstairs that I've got to try here eventually too. All righty. Thanks for them. You're welcome. Just down I-70 in Warrensburg. Okay. Yeah, the T-shirt would be cool, wouldn't it? If you get on Facebook and it seemed to be a reputable place, not some place in China selling them. And I think maybe even proceeds went out. I think it even had like the thing that you see on the side of the arm with the crossed rifles, that they might have had something to do with it as well. I know, right? But that is so cool. DD214, the original, America's original man card. Seriously, that is so freaking cool. Whoever came up with that one, that's a good one. It's a Brittany. Wait a minute. It's a Brittany name. Okay. I don't know that one. Shorter, more upright, longer, flatter. See, I did get it right. That's my motto. Okay. Henry Ross, very nice. Did you ever see the ending of the KC game? It was crazy. No, I did not. But I saw there was memes galore out there about how they won. I guess they blocked a punt or blocked a field goal attempt. And of course, the thing going around is the referees helping them out, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I was golfing with my son. The wife said it was absolutely nuts. Okay. Miss playing with my dad. They were fun times. I'd have to agree, partner. What do I think of JP wedges? I think the guy knows what he's doing. He was to be the heir apparent to Vokey, and apparently something happened. And I don't know what happened.
He's talking about the other guy that lives in Missouri.
I know,
but move on.
I've already moved on. You know what? You're holding me up from completing.
Keep going.
You're holding me up. So the JP wedges, that was to be the custom Vokey, basically, in my terms, not maybe theirs. Are they any better than the Vokey line? If you're a wedge fiend and you relied heavily on your wedge game and you wanted something that was fine-tuned to your game and JP was actually going to be doing it, then yes, it would be very cool. If you're a guy that just wanted a really fancy wedge, then no, because I don't know how much they go for anymore, but last I looked, they were costing the same price as a driver. I know you work with brand name, but are there any companies that you work with? I get components from an outfit in PA. The clubs I've built, people love them. Well, so John, I started off with, when I started into doing this, I did my first inclination was I was never ever going to use a copycat. All right, and copycats are not very good. All right, they go, oh yeah, they're just good. No, they're not. But we called it. You have OEMs, and what I went with was called OEDs, and it was called Original Equipment Designs. And what those were, and there were several of them in the day. Of course, you had Washawn, you had KZG, you had Alpha, you had even GolfWorks, if you wanted to use them at Golf Smith. They had designers on staff that were designing their own clubs in order to get their own stuff. The only reason why I didn't do anything with GolfWorks is they're an hour away from me. And at the time, the internet was not really a thing as far as doing all what we're doing now. And I would be in direct competition with them, and I would lose dramatically and in ugly fashion. So I decided not to do that. That and they only made one left-handed club, and the left-handed club really wasn't that good. But the right-handed, their TS lines, boo, good stuff. So anyway, those are the ones that I worked with. Oh, there was another one. It was called Infinity. Infinity was another good one. Those are guys that I used to work with. Of all those people that I worked with, the people that are left standing, I believe KZG is still out there. I believe that Alpha is still out there. And GolfWorks is obviously still out there. And there's one other. It used to be real big with long drive. It was called Bang. Their drivers were a little different. Their irons weren't much to write home about, but the drivers were always really different. Look at those. Priceless times for sure. I'll be lucky golfing with my old man and son now. Very cool. John, I do this as a hobby, not as a business. Try to learn as much as possible. Yep, that's where you can go, bud. John, so uh, if you're in PA, a GolfWorks model might actually be a good thing to have. They're very close. You'd be within a good shipping time frame, and you could do that. How about I unmute? There we go. I don't know why they did that. To all the vets out there, thank you for your service. No problem. You are more than welcome. The GT2 is the more forgiving. GT4 is the smaller. Oh, okay. Now I know. Josiah, what do you say? Quick question. The ZX4 irons, did they change the hot spots on that from the first version to the current version? In other words, this center, do you still get a flyer? No. The second versions are just absolutely so much better than the first ones. The first ones were just their attempt at having a hollow body, and although neat, the build did not look very good on them. The second ones do look very good, and now I've seen the third generation, and they look even better. You get that car, I'm stealing that one. There you go. Henry or Herman, how you doing, buddy? No, we have not. We've never done Palm Springs. Yep. Thank you, sir. Darren, is the 5 degree from club to club on Langle consistent with industry standard? The answer to that is yes. Or is it common for some players to have same Langles across a set? No, it is not. And if so, what would happen to ball flight? So what would happen, let's just say you started at 62 and as you went down, the clubs would be flatter. So the clubs would be flatter, ball flight actually might go up and you might have a hard time turning it over. The wife walked in to ask a question. I got a little distracted and overheard Oban and thought, were you talking about scotch? Now, that's not a bad thing. If you haven't had it, give it a taste. No, Oban, I was over in Scotland and Ireland. I asked them about that, and it's funny that I said, what about this Oban? They're like, it's pretty good, but in Scotland, and they said, but here's other ones that they thought were better, price for performance kind of thing. But yeah, I went into the clubhouse and I said, hey, I'd like to try the Oban, please, just to say that I did it, and I did, and it was good. Could you replace a shaft in a center shafted putter with a stability? Oh yeah, no problem, all day long. Measure once, cut, cut, cut. I cut the shaft twice. It's still too short. There you go. Oh, measure twice, cut once. There you go. Jim, weight on the Icon putter is the same as the Golf Pride. Good question. Let's see. In my dynamically calibrated hands, I would have to say yes. They're within grams of each other, and they do have a 58 and a 60 round midsection. Are those glow-in-the-dark golf balls like hitting a rocks? Yes, they are. Very much so. Matter to the point is you don't, where they put the little cartridge in to make them glow, you want to turn that away from there because we were warned about that, and some joker after too many beers lined it up and he caved in his face because the thing was so hard because they had to have the cylinder in there to hold this cartridge, and it was harder than the rest of the golf ball. We need those in Sweden. Getting dark over here. Yeah, if you could start a trend, Krister, get outside and start playing in the dark. No, but I want to test one at least. Yeah, so Krister, if you're going to play glow in the dark golf balls, you need to go back a generation or two of your golf clubs and use those because you definitely do not want to damage new golf clubs with these, and it will happen. Right? I warn people all the time, go have all the fun you want. You're playing in the dark. Don't bring your original set. Hit something else and get it out there. Glenn Burr has a new name. Played night golf with glow in the dark golf balls into my 3-wood. They are hard. You are not kidding, sir. Robert Pigram. What do you say? Which is more important, overall club weight or swing weight? Club weight. The reason I ask is my irons are 1.5 inches over length. The swing weight is kind of high, or so D3 or so, and D3 for the wedges. What? That sounds extremely high, but overall the weights aren't bad. I don't feel anywhere. No. The total, what you're talking about, overall club weight, it's called total weight, Robert. Total weight, in my opinion, is far, far more needed than the other one. And the fact that your wedges are D3 sounds kind of fishy as well. But yeah, I'd check the other ones. Pete B, what do you say? What do we got here? U.S. Army, is that, I can't see, I'm too old. 1st or 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment veteran. You are the man. Way to go, Pete. Thank you for your service, sir. Mark Patton. There's Mark. Hoping all is well. What's going on in the smoker in your glass? Ooh, thanks for reminding me. Mrs. McGolf is listening at this particular point in time. I need my phone, and I don't know why it's in here because I do have a turkey on the smoker right now, and in order to take it into work tomorrow, hopefully I didn't go too far. Does Tycho? Yes. Well, JP is initially he did. It's more of a custom department thing. Yep, we got her back. Hopefully I got it back. There we go. All right, we got down to the bottom, fellas. We went over a little over half an hour extra. I appreciate the questions. And we talked to France. Well done. We talked to the UK. Well done. We talked all over. We got Colorado. We're down to Florida. It was all awesome. And as usual, I appreciate it, guys. If you know anybody that hasn't been here and done this, let them like and subscribe, and we will make an effort to actually get a video out and try and get our rhythm going a little bit better. And I got to go check this turkey. So again, happy Veterans Day. Make sure you do check the quality of your work, and that's always self-assessing. And I'm telling you, it will pay dividends. And if you're liking this, You check out Makefield, and we'll talk about the icon later. And as always, let's see your scores go low.